When Federal Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault announced this week that by 2026, just 2 years from now, 20% of all vehicle sales in Canada had to be electric vehicles, he said, this is a great way to help Canadians with the cost of living. Not sure how that's true because electric vehicles cost as much as 40% more than comparable internal combustion engine vehicles. But he said, as soon as you drive off the lot, your fueling costs go way down and your maintenance costs almost disappear. Well, even internal documents from the Environment Department put the lie to those claims. It doesn't cost less to maintain an electric vehicle. In fact, Consumer Reports magazine this week reported that electric vehicles are 73% less reliable than internal combustion engine vehicles. And the cost of repairs is sometimes many times more what it is for an internal combustion engine car or truck. So Guilbeault was wrong about that. And I think deliberately wrong about it. I think he knows what the true costs are of running electric vehicles. Buying them is more expensive, running them is more expensive. And what happens if the cost of electricity goes up, as one of his other initiatives, which is zero emissions power grids, drives up the cost of electricity? Then you're sitting there trying to charge your vehicle in your home with your electricity prices going through the roof. That's another thing that Guilbeault's announcement didn't mention, and that is the cost of home chargers. The federal government says it'll cost between $800 and $1,200 for a home charger. No, it won't. We looked into one for our home. We don't have an electric vehicle, but we thought, as soon as the government starts mandating this, maybe it'll be harder and harder to get chargers. We looked at it would cost $16,000 to put in a charger in our home. Who can afford that? The government is subsidizing the cost of electric vehicles and paying small subsidies for home chargers. But by and large, they're not going to pay those costs. In fact, the federal government's own documents show that the cost to consumers over the next 25 years of maintaining electric vehicles and paying for home chargers. This is not the cost of the vehicles themselves, just the cost of maintaining them and paying for home chargers will add about $54 billion to consumers' costs. Ordinary Canadians will pay about $54 billion more to drive over the next 25 years because of the electric vehicle mandate. They might save, and this is because the Environment Department itself is very enthusiastic about electric vehicles, and so they're very optimistic. They said you might save $38 billion. But as you can tell, that's a $16 billion burden added to Canadians. They're looking at about an extra $1 billion a year in driving costs. And what the department also found was that prices out of the market about 25% of Canadians. If you are a working poor Canadian, you will not have a vehicle in the future. There's a very good chance that as soon as internal combustion engine vehicles are outlawed in Canada, you will not have a vehicle. That's fine, I guess. If you live in a big city, it's very inconvenient, but I guess that's fine if you live in a big city because maybe you can take transit. But what if you're a working poor person who lives in a rural part of Canada? You can't take transit. There is no transit. You are stuck without a vehicle. This is a very urban, upper middle class mandate from the Liberal government, and it's another example of just how out of touch they are. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.